PC Gamer Weekender livestream. I'm here with Toby to talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance, but before we get started, we have a trailer to watch.
Oh yeah!
Dear brother, forget your former life and embrace your new vocation in the community of the monks of St. Benedict. The service of God, obedience, and endurance of all discomfort. These are the cornerstones and succor of our order, which on this day shall become your own. Accept your new name and wear it with honor. Welcome, brother.
So, Kingdom Come Deliverance has been huge on Steam. Was Warhouse surprised by this reaction at all?
Well,
Peggy
of
18.
course we hope for the best, but now that it sales so good and that the people mostly like it, that's the important part. Of course, it's a little surprise, and we're extremely happy about that. But the most important thing for us is that, of course, media in average like it, and we get something like 7 or 8 or something like this. But what is most important for us is that the user scores are really high. And I was asking here, I met some people here on PC Gamer Weekend who were actually backers from back then on Kickstarter, and I asked them if they imagined this, like this game, or the way how we delivered it on Tuesday, if they imagined it like this 4 years ago, and they said exactly like this and even better. So, and this is like the most important thing for us.
That's brilliant. Kickstarter is such a hard target to reach sometimes, so to get that must be fantastic.
Well, it's, you know, Kickstarter has, it has plus sides and downsides. The good thing is that you can create some kind of community, which we did, obviously. The downside is that since people know about this game for 4 years already, since we are talking like from day one, it seems like we developed this forever, but in reality this is like the usual developing time of like this kind of scope game. Some people think we do this forever, and like, you know, but I think in the end we are extremely happy that from our perspective that the vision we had back then was, as far as we think, was exactly delivered how we imagined it. Of course, with the feedback of the community, and we were talking a lot in alphas, betas, and so on. And yeah, we are happy with it.
Yeah, I bet. It looks great. So
Thank you.
The medieval setting is phenomenal in terms of the detail and stuff. Do you think it struck a chord with people?
You know, when you take RPGs, usually they have this medieval setting. So they have like these sword shields and so on. Even games like awesome games like Elix, which are more science fiction-ish kind of, they also have swords. So people like these kind of stuff. And we thought, well, we do too, but no one else really tried to go the full way and show the realism part. What I mean is that we have like quests which are somehow connected to the medieval world. So instead of killing 15 spiders in a basement, you have to deal with an executioner who is jealous that the execution he's supposed to do, he can't do because they called another executioner which is supposed to be a superstar, and now he's jealous about him that he took his job and you need to sabotage the other one. So we try to talk about this medieval thing. We have like witch hunting at least a little bit, so we try to talk about how people saw that, or magic, so we have to create some fake potions for people who are like completely into this magic alchemy thing. So in the end, while before Kickstarter people were saying, we don't know if this might be a thing for the world or for the people, then people judged by their wallets, by supporting us. And now if you take a look at Steam, Twitch, whatsoever, people are happy with it, and so are we. Of course it has bugs, I mean, hey. we will still love the game a lot in the following months, years. So yeah, we will take care of them as well.
Yeah. So you've really tried to do things differently with Kingdom Come Deliverance, like especially your combat system, which has specific parrying moves that were actually used back then. How did you create that system?
Well, for creating the world, we bought a satellite height map. We have a full-time historian to make sure that the story is somehow believable, that the items are correct, and so on. And then we said, okay, if we do this, then we should do everything, like even with the combat system. So we we invited real sword fighters to the studio who showed us how the 15th century sword fighting is supposed to look like. We told them why this is not possible, because they said like the fighters need to be unpredictable and they want to be lazy, so one step and then continue. And we said, no, we need these broad moves so the player actually can see that there's something happening. So this is our interpretation and compromise of a real 15th century sword fighting kind of style. We try to decipher medieval manuscripts about fighting. Of course, people can argue that people fighters on a battlefield didn't follow the rules of fighting when it came to fights actually. But yeah, still we try to have the combos. If you execute them, they look like how they depicted it in those books, and yeah. But this was our idea. I always say it's easy to learn but hard to master. So you theoretically only need 2 buttons to go through the entire game. But since we emphasize the role-playing a lot in the game, we give you the chance that if you are willing to invest some time into combat, you can really role-play as a super warrior.
The same goes for your potion crafting system as well. Like you have to watch how many times you use the bellows and the hourglass.
Exactly.
Like what kind of research went into making that specific?
Alchemy actually, even though today people think it's like a magical thing, it's pretty much herbalism. Modern day natural medicine, pretty much. So we try to. We have a recipe book, of course, with special potions which will heal you a little bit. So there are gameplay compromises. Of course, it's an RPG, so you need to heal somehow. But in order to not make it too fantastic, we said, okay, the potion will heal you over time, but not immediately. And we tried to. The recipes inside the recipe book are somehow leaning or are inspired by actually herbalism book. So it's pretty much nothing else than herbalism. So you're I don't know, collecting poppy seeds and different kind of chamomile and so on. Try to mix it together with some liquids, wine or liquor or what they used back then, and then you create your stuff. So yeah, in general, it's in Kingdom Come. You have to do something in order to get something. It's always a little bit tricky in the beginning. People right outside of this camera are saying that the lockpicking is pretty hard. It is, but if you're able to learn it a little bit, level up a little bit, it will be super powerful because you can then steal everything and get everywhere. And the point is that all the quests in the game, or most of them, have several ways how you can solve them. So the alchemy can be super, if you level up the alchemy, it can be super powerful because you can create poisons. You can, even if you're not so good in combat, you can poison your weapons and deal with the opponents in an alchemy way. Or if you leveled up, for example, if you had the patience to level up the lockpicking, then you can get into places where you are locked out from if you cannot open locks and so on. So yeah, many ways to Rome, many ways to the end of Kingdom Come.
Just like in real life, if you put the time into something, then you get even better at it.
I read yesterday, there was one of the journalists who was reviewing Kingdom Come. He said that the most interesting on Henry is that he's so extremely uninteresting, and that you, as a player, are growing with him throughout the game. So it's not the RPG system, which level 10 means that you're all of a sudden slicing through a horde of enemies. It just means that when you are level 10, or when Henry is level 10, that you, as a player, you became a better sword fighter, and that because your finger skills got better, that's why it's eventually easier to then fight later in the game. So that's an, I think, interesting approach, which is not so common. Of course, some can say it's risky. On the other hand, it's so unique that it may be interesting for people out there. And the RPG system helps you, but if you are bad at X, then no RPG system of KCD will help you.
But that's great. I love the fact that Henry's a blacksmith's son, so he's really ordinary. He's not chosen. He's not like the son of a knight. Like, what kind of different opportunities did that give you when telling his story?
Yes, that's a very good question. The only given fact on Henry is his appearance, because it's Tom McKay. If you watch us, it's the British actor who's playing him. So it's his voice, movement, and face. and we wrote the story on Henry, on this particular character, so we decided to go against character customization. But on the very first dialogue, when you enter the game, Mother asks you what you did yesterday, and you're immediately choosing an answer, of course, and it will predetermine some basic levels in the beginning, so agility and so on strength. And from that point, you are pretty much only learning by doing. So whenever you do something, it will level up a particular skill, and you're completely open in how you want to, how you want Henry to behave. It's completely up to you. And as I said, the end of the game is for everyone the same. You have to get to a certain point, final quest, happy end. But how you get there is completely different, I think, from, like, if the two of us will play the game, I'm almost certain that we will have a different story to tell in the end. Because there are, for example, big skirmishes, which you can go into and frontline fighter and so on, but you can even completely avoid the skirmish by using your speech skill before and try to, it's a game from Czech Republic, so of course you can talk or bribe your way out of every problem. So yeah, so that's what offers you, and that's why it's important for us that Henry has this open character development, and you can decide what you want him to be.
What's great about the world, though, is that everything isn't at your beck and call. Like, there's quests that's specifically time related.
Yeah.
So, like, if you miss out on a time, then the quest kind of goes away. Like, tell me more about
and
that.
This doesn't mean dead end, and that's also very important. That when you get to a point where it says quest failed something, or this particular branch failed, this doesn't mean that the game is over or this quest is over. It eventually only means that you have to find another way how to continue. So, for example, it can also happen that a guy approaches you and says, let's go to the forest and kill those bandits, and you say no, then he will go alone and might die, that's it. Or if you say yes, then you go with him, he eventually survives, and this will open some follow-up quests. But meanwhile, something else will get destroyed, and this will close something somewhere else. So this is, I think, very interesting that some quests happen without you. If you tell yes or no, they will go anyway. Some quests will develop according to your decisions. If you there's a quest where you have to decide how many soldiers you should take, or how you suggest how many soldiers you should take to conquer or attack a bandit outpost. If you take all of them, the fights are easier, but meanwhile another farm gets destroyed. So yeah, we want to emphasize the role-playing aspect and that your decision actually matter. Sometimes it's timed the quests, and if you just don't show up, then people will not wait in the rain day and night until the Dragonborn comes finally.
Well, they've got other stuff to do. They're
exactly.
busy. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's funny. Sorry that I jump into it. There's we have the game here, of course, and there's the fighting arena, and Captain Bernard is supposed to go there and teach you something to fight. And people are like, "There's a bug. He's not there." And it's like, time skips 30 minutes or so. And all of a sudden he's there. And then I tell him, yeah, well, because in the cutscene before, he was with you in the castle at the other end of the city, and he's now physically running up the city. And you were running, and he was just walking. So
give him some time.
Give him some time. He's not the youngest anymore, right?
Yeah. And he's got to take a little bit more slowly.
Exactly.
The fighting arena. Yeah. How much work did it take to create this kind of NPCs that are more like realistic and reactive in the environment?
4 years of work. Well, 4 years after Kickstarter, but of course a huge amount of work. If you consider that we have, and people are arguing about this, if we have 80 quests or 100 because someone calls something a quest but someone doesn't. Let's say somewhere between 80 and 100 quests, and none of them is procedural generated. So there was a designer who said, okay, we will have these kind of characters in there. You have to do this will be the options. So all of those quests are unique. And someone said that he never felt that he did the same thing twice. So the quests are very, hopefully, intriguing. Someone else told me that the main motivation he has in the game is pushing the quest forward. So the entire game lives on his story and quest. The entire main quest line are the historical events pretty much. So if you follow the main quest line, there will be the castle siege, and you will see the lords and so on, and it will tell you something about the historical events. But most of the side quests are stuff from the Middle Ages, like the executioner thing, or you have to get information out of a priest, but he doesn't want to tell you because he's a holy man, of course. So what you do, you get very, very wasted with him.
Of course, the only thing you could do.
The only way you can do it. You get very wasted with him, then you pass out, wake up, you see how he's running on the field, and he's chasing sheep. And then the next morning, both of you are so wasted that he cannot have the mass in the church, so you have to do it, and because you don't know how to, you have to. It's really funny stuff is going on there, and yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the quest. I think that's the main. If you dislike the story of the game, you will most likely dislike Kingdom Come. So this is all about story questing.
The right way to do an RPG, though. The completely
our
right way.
our way of doing it.
Yeah.
We don't have some. We don't have this filler up stuff. Of course, sometimes you have to do some fetch quests, collect this, get there, but most of them are somehow connected to the Middle Ages, medieval life, and witch hunting. There, you following some obviously witches, but there are no witches, of course. But people believe so, and so you should deal with. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, Kingdom Come Deliverance is doing everything different in all the right ways. So thanks so much.
So
for
far,
talking to
so
me.
good.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the fingers crossed. I'm sure it'll be
Fingers
absolutely
crossed.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So up next we have Ren. Tune in another 10 minutes to see exactly